All right, what is up, everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we have episode 24 of season 3 of the Look-In series, a series I do at the end of each team season where I go back, recap the team season, see what the future holds, and look into what this team is doing. Today's episode is on the Golden State Warriors. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so I'll support on the channel. Be very much appreciated. Links to my Twitter and all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So we're talking about the Warriors today. The Warriors were eliminated last night by the Minnesota Timberwolves in 5 games in the second round. An unfortunate end to the season, especially one where they can't really fully fulfill what they wanted because of Steph Curry's injury. Obviously, that really took them out of the race in the second round against Minnesota. Credit to Minnesota, they fought hard and played well. And the Warriors, without Steph, just couldn't really hold up. But you saw during this year how they started off really good for the first about month and a half-ish of the season. Then it got to a point where they were hovering around 500. Steph wasn't playing his best, and this team just needed a spark. They needed something else. And people were wondering, is Mike Dunleavy going to make the move? Or are they going to make a trade or something? All of a sudden, they ended with Jimmy Butler. And they also give him a contract extension. Fully embarking on the Steph Curry timeline. And it works. They are one of the better teams in the NBA second half of the year, jump all the way up. Finish. They lose a couple of their games last night of the season to have to go to the play-in, but they end up winning the play-in, get to the 7th seed, beat Houston in the second round, in the first round in 7 games, end up losing to Minnesota with no Steph Curry. And now, Jimmy was exactly what they needed, you know. And now they kind of, after seeing what could happen with Jimmy and Steph, now they're fully can see that Steph Curry is still so good at this age. He can bring you to a different level. He can bring you to a championship level team. And now it's really more about building around the roster. I feel like for the past few years, since the championship of 2022, we've been asking the Warriors to put something more around Steph. Are they going to be aggressive? Like putting a big workload on a 36, 37-year-old is not the greatest, especially when your core now is Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond all at around the middle to the end of 30. All their careers are going to be over in about 4 or 5-ish years. And, it's time they really still want to kind of capitalize on Steph being Steph and have him still having this superpower. And now it's really about filling out the rest of the roster because he's already shown you the rest of the roster still needs some building. You have some decent things. Buddy Hield had that big game 7 and did a little bit of things here and there. Moses Moody showed a little bit. Brad Pajemski had a really bad start. He's since become something. Quinn Post, you found him as a second round pick, and now he looks like he could be a rotational player. Besides that, though, they need some more. I think a traditional center still is kind of in play. Kevon Looney at this point is going to be a free agent. And even though he's loyal to the soil, he'll probably maybe stay for a minimum, whatever. I don't know. I think a traditional center is needed. You see around the Western Conference, size, the centers are back. Look at the Western Conference. All the top teams have a center. OKC, you have Chet, Isaiah Hartenstein. Minnesota, you have Rudy Gobert, you have Julius Randle. Houston, you have Alperen Sengun. Look around. Clippers have Zubac. Look around all these. Spurs have Wemby. Wemby's coming out. Jokic is still here in the West. Size and having a center. They've been able to get away with not having a center because you have some of the greatest floor spacing of all time. And Draymond Green's one of the better defenders of all time. But now I think it's time to get a traditional center in there. And I think some more shooting, obviously, and just better high IQ players. The Warriors system is not a system for everybody. It's a system that needs, high IQ, good basketball players. I think they need more of that. Big thing this summer is going to be what happens with Jonathan Kuminga. I think it's time to go and say he's up. I think Jonathan Kuminga needs a trade and should be sent somewhere else, especially with him needing a contract this summer. And I think the last couple of games in the Minnesota series, he showed he could still be valuable. As a young guy, he's still only 22, 23 years old, still has a lot of potential in there. The Warriors are just not it for him. The system is just not really fit for Kuminga, and a trade for him will be likely. And I think just building around the rest of this team, the Giannis rumors are out there, and the Warriors, I feel like, have been a team that if Giannis is interested, going to get him, maybe throwing in Draymond Green and some contract fillers to go get a Giannis will be there. I don't know if it'll be the best package, but it'll be there. That works. But ultimately, I don't know if they have to really go and shoot for the stars in terms of getting another superstar-like player. Obviously, getting the best talent available is great. Putting around Steph and Jimmy and maybe getting another all-star type player would be good. But I think this team is good. Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond as a 3 is not bad at all. Added with Steve Kerr, you got something good here, obviously. I mean, you saw Jimmy Butler came right in. All of a sudden, they went from being an average team to a really good above average team. And when Steph Curry on this roster, who knows? We might be talking about them in the Western Conference Finals right now if Steph Curry plays. You never know. So I think building out the rest of this team and finally getting it right, and I think being aggressive is the big thing. Just being aggressive and fully embarking and leaning into the Steph Curry timeline. Obviously, the last couple of years they've tried the two timeline things with Wiseman and Poole and Kuminga and Moody, Brandon Pajemski. It just hasn't worked. It's hard to develop talent while also trying to win championships. It's either one or the other. And I feel like now they're kind of fully seeing that, they're leaning into the Jimmy Butler trade. They're fully seeing Steph Curry is still great. And Steph Curry is still a top 10 player in this league. And Steph Curry can still lead you far. Just give him something and he can bring you places. And I think now seeing how Jonathan Kuminga, the fallout between him and Jonathan Kuminga, how Brandon Pajemski's looking, I think now they're finally kind of accepting that, okay, the two timeline, bringing in young guys while also having Steph just hasn't worked. And I think it's time to be aggressive. It's time to be aggressive. It's time to put all the chips in the middle of the table. And I think they did half of that with Jimmy Butler and also giving Jimmy Butler the money. Kind of putting their chips in the middle of the table and saying, hey, we're winning with Steph. It's Steph or nothing at this point. I think that's the way you go out. And if you don't win with Steph going all out, at least you tried to do everything you can to give Steph another chance. And I think that's all you can ask for. So yeah, I think it's time to get aggressive, man. It's time to get aggressive for the Warriors. And it's really got me wondering, like, what is the championship window left for Golden State? Is it as long as Steph Curry is around? Is it another year or two when the Jimmy Butler around? Like, I don't really know. I think it's still there. I don't think it's as clear as a lot of other teams have it, but I think there's still a sort of a window, especially with the second apron now. Windows open and close in a year or two span. You can go from having a huge window to no window at all. We see what happened with the Bucks, where now there is like not really a window anymore, even though they have Giannis. For the Warriors, obviously they're in a better situation than the Bucks, but I'm just like thinking like how long do they have? How long do they have? And I think with Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, you have some time. I'm not saying you have 5 years, but I think 2 years isn't crazy to think about with the Warriors having another run at it. But I think if the Warriors come into those offseason and really capitalize and really lean all into building around Steph and bring in some solid talent, I think this window, like this is a team that is a top team in the Western Conference again next year. I don't see any reason why, if the Warriors have a good offseason, they're not a top 5, 6 team in the Western Conference again. I don't see why not. Steph Curry is still super amazing. Jimmy Butler can still give you some good things. Draymond Green is still good. You have some decent things here. It's just really about filling out the rest of the roster, and that's where the magnifying glass is going to be in this offseason, is filling out the rest of this roster and putting as much talent around Steph Curry as possible so we don't get into situations like this where Steph Curry has to miss a game or two and it's like done. Which is what Jimmy Butler was supposed to be here for. He gave you one game, didn't do anything else after that, but it's still incomplete. Still needs a roster around it. But the Warriors, the championship window, I feel like as long as Steph's around and Steph is still at this type of level, even if he's not averaging 28 points per game, Steph Curry is still going to be Steph Curry no matter what. I feel like, and I feel like this window is still open. They just really, really, really have to capitalize. Because again, Steph Curry's not getting any younger. He just had his first hamstring injury. It's showing you, hey, Steph Curry's at the end, near the end of the time, near the end. So it's time right now to put all your chips in the middle of the table and try to honor Steph by getting him one more, And they did it with Jimmy Butler. They're going to have to do a little bit more. Not saying you have to go get Kevin Durant or Giannis, but if it's on the table, obviously you go do it. But I think just building a competent and good roster and leveling up a lot of the things on this roster will go a long, long way. So I'm very interested to see how Mike Dunleavy and the Warriors approach this offseason. But yeah, it's going to be it today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turning on notifications, doing also like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. Once again, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so support on the channel. Be very much appreciated. There's a playlist up here somewhere. You can click, check the other episodes of the Looking series. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.